Do you ever feel like if you followed your impulses all the way through to the end, if you really quit your job when you wanted to quit your job, if you really told your friend what you felt like about her, if you really ate what you really wanted to eat, it would result in your self-destruction because it would just be way too much? In this video, I want to talk about that feeling, about what it means, and maybe an alternate perspective for what you can do about it. So I run into this thought of if I really followed what I feel out to its logical conclusion, something terrible would happen. I see it a lot in my own life, and I see it a ton with my clients. And I just want to start this video by sort of talking to you about the fact that that feeling has been in my own life a lot. I felt it when I first thought about quitting my consulting job. It just felt like it wasn't the right fit for me anymore, and it was time for me to try something new. But at the same time, I was terrified to leave. I was convinced, and I was working with a life coach at the time, but I was really convinced that if I left my job, I would somehow become this, and I said these words to her, hobo on the street without health insurance. If I really let myself say, no, I don't want this job, and I'm not exactly sure what thing I want instead, and I'm not going to say yes until there's a yes, that suddenly my whole life would change. I would have no money, so I wouldn't be able to afford an apartment. I'd have no health insurance, and my life would kind of become a disaster. And she said to me very wisely, Katie, you have boundaries. Is it possible that some part of you does want health insurance? That some part of you does want to be able to afford your apartment? So when you expand, when you go off track enough, eventually you'll meet this boundary of what's acceptable for you, and then you'll kind of curve back. You're not going to just explode into space until you die on the streets because you needed health care, you couldn't even afford it, and your life was in shambles. Like, something else will push back against this desire that you have to leave your job. Similarly, that feeling has come up in my life in all kinds of other situations. I was convinced that, if I get off this nutritional path, if I eat as much chocolate as I want, I was just going to eat chocolate forever. I was convinced that if I started turning down social events, if I started really saying no to as many things as I felt like I wanted to say no to, because I'm very introverted, that I would have no friends, no one would like me, I'd never go out again. Again, I'm afraid that I'm going to go off that path. I was afraid that if I really felt as many feelings as I kind of was sensing that I had, if I felt as sad and as angry or as moody as I really felt, that I would just never stop feeling feelings. We have this sense that we just have no boundaries, that we can just go off into infinity. But I actually, sort of amazingly, found that that wasn't true. I found that, I left my job and it was scary and rocky and I felt crazy for a while, but then I found that I needed a new job, so I got one. When I started feeling my feelings, there's a while where it feels extremely tumultuous, and then the feelings kind of fade. And then you realize that feeling all these feelings, was really useful, but now you need to kind of feel a little bit less. Or you eat a ton of chocolate until you realize, oh, chocolate doesn't make me feel good. Or I wasn't social until I realized, oh, I'd like to be a little more social. So I guess I'm making this video because so many of the women I work with are women who generally have it together in their lives but feel really out of control around food. And our general philosophy to life is that they need to stay within this very narrow course, because if they go off track, their whole life is going to fall apart. So they're afraid of truly eating what they want, but they're also afraid of truly feeling what they feel or making decisions that feel kind of radical. And any kind of going off course is really, really scary. And that's totally normal and okay. But I wanted to make this video to talk to you today, to sort of offer you an alternate distinction, an alternate way of looking at it, which is to say that if you go off course, it doesn't mean that you're going off course into infinity and you'll never find your way back. It might be that you're going off course to just find your natural boundary, to bounce up against it so that you can head back on the path to your life. And of course, going off course finding that boundary, it doesn't always happen in a day, and it can sometimes feel really tumultuous. You know, you can feel lost for a while. You can feel like, I know that I'm following what's true for me, but I also feel like so scared and I don't know what to do. And I really, really hope that there's a boundary there. And I found in my own life that there is always a boundary there. So that's what I want to offer to you today. That if you're feeling scared, but you're also feeling like there's something that you kind of need to explore, that it's okay, that it will feel scary, but you can also probably trust that eventually, if you wait long enough, you'll hit your boundary. It might take longer than you wish it did. I always wish that when I go off course, I meet my boundary in like a day, a week tops, and sometimes it takes a lot longer, depending on, what the question is. But if that's something you're struggling with today, I wanted to offer you some support in that, and I wanted to know that I'm here rooting for you, even if we haven't met yet. I'd love to hear what you think about this, if this is something you've struggled with, if this distinction is helpful for you. So please feel free to leave a comment below. And if you like this video, there's a lot more content like it at katiestever.com. So check that out. Until next time.